As with other Borderlands games, Borderlands 3 is filled with Easter eggs and secrets. And as you all know, here at gameranx, we're big fans of Easter eggs. So let's get on with it. Today, we're talking about 10 Easter egg secrets and references in Borderlands 3. Starting off at number 10, okay, so this one is weird, even for Borderlands. We're used to stuff from comics and sci-fi and even other games, but we never truly expect them to include a very obvious Easter egg to the British ITV series Downton Abbey. So, if you're familiar, which it's pretty fair to assume you may be, I mean, come on by now. It's Happy Hogan's favorite show. How do you not know what it is? But Downton Abbey follows a series of British aristocrats known as the Crawley family. In Borderlands 3, in the droughts on Pandora, you can find a Varkid, those flying bug enemies, but this one is named, and when you kill it, it will spawn another named Varkid, all of which are references to characters from Downton Abbey. All of the Varkid you fight are also dressed up like British aristocrat fancy lads with like mustaches and top hats and all that jazz. Like we said, it's a weird little Easter egg to add, especially to a game like Borderlands 3, whose primary export is dick and fart jokes, but here we are. And at number 9, Borderlands is no stranger to putting that real nerd shit in its Easter eggs, and clearly this game is no different as we have a pretty good Lord of the Rings one in there. Now this one is a very late game Easter egg as it's during a level 44 quest called The Demon in the Dark, and it takes place on Pandora. You need to head over to the area of the map known as Conrad's Hold. There, you'll be led through some abandoned mines, which Lord of the Rings fans may feel some real similarities to the mines of Moria in the Fellowship of the Ring. It's a fairly involved side quest, but it ultimately culminates in you facing off with the mission's boss, Lagrimar, which is a horned, flaming, lava-like being with a fiery, whip-like tendrils that it uses to attack you, you know, like the Lord of the Rings' infamous Balrog. Granted, this dude is quite a bit smaller than the Balrog and all that, and the resemblance is undeniable, and it definitely goes down as one of the cooler Easter eggs we've seen in the game so far. Next up at number 8, honestly, out of all the Easter eggs in this game, I think that this one makes the most sense. Like, it fits in with the humor perfectly. You guys are aware of Rick and Morty, I'm sure, right? That whacked out kid and his drunk psychotic grandpa who seems set on ruining that kid's life. Well, anyway, there are a set of characters in Borderlands 3 that reference them. It's a very easy reference to catch, seeing that their names are literally Wick and Warty. Yeah, Gearbox didn't even try with this one, which is obviously part of the joke, and I think it's really funny. To take on these two, first you have to accept the mission from the bounty board located on your ship. You have to hit level 14 to take this mission on, and it's going to take you to Electro City on Promethea. The boss fight isn't anything too insane, and it's fairly easy, but one thing that is cool is that they teleport around you using green portals, you know, like Rick and Morty do. Killing them gives you the chance of dropping a pretty nice legendary shotgun, but it's not guaranteed, unfortunately, so if you don't get it, you're gonna have to farm that boss battle until you drop that gun. And at number 7, remember when Randy Pitchford was joking about using all of the influence and leverage he had to get Borderlands on Steam as soon as possible, as long as they announced Half-Life 3? Well, turns out Gearbox's love for Half-Life didn't stop there. There's actually a fun little Half-Life Easter egg in Borderlands 3. You can actually drop a rocket launcher called Freeman, you know, like Gordon Freeman. And just like the Half-Life rocket launcher, the missiles are player guided. After arriving on Eden 6, it'll trigger a mission where you have to free Hammerlock from the prison he's found himself in. Eventually, you'll come across the boss named the Warden. Upon defeating him, he has the chance to drop the Freeman. This is another weapon that isn't guaranteed, so if you don't drop it, you're just gonna have to farm this mission until you do. Cool little Easter egg, right? Moving on to number 6, as far as we know, this one isn't tied to a quest, and more so just something just out there in the world for you to go check out. On Eden 6, you can head over to the area called the Anvil, and head into the sewers. From there, you can find a new area just called West of Gross, which you could very easily make the connection to Westeros, the world where the HBO show Game of Thrones and book series A Song of Ice and Fire is set in. Now, that on its own would usually be enough, but Borderlands 3 takes it further. From there, you can encounter an enemy called the Mother of the Grogans, which is another obvious nod to the series Mother of Dragons. And she's even accompanied by 3 dragons that fly around and attack you from above. Even goes so far as to make 2 of them breathe fire and 1 breathe ice at you, just like the dragons in the later part of the series. It's a pretty sizable Easter egg to include, and even if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, you have to at least appreciate the amount of effort that went into making a weird little Easter egg like that for players to find. Coming in at number 5. Alright, so this one is a rare random spawn, but it's a level 4 quest, so you can theoretically get this one pretty much early on. So if you go to the notice board on Sanctuary 3, you can find a side mission just straight up called Kill Skagen. Yeah, subtlety really isn't Borderlands' thing. Anyway, grab the mission from the notice board and then hop on down to the Draughts on Pandora. Once you get to the area marked on your map, you'll see a bunch of Skags start to spawn in, along with 2 Skagens. These guys look like regular Skags at first, but you'll quickly notice that they have different coloring, as well as glowing red mouths, which paired with just the way that Skags open their mouths is very much reminiscent of, you may have guessed it by now, the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. I don't really know what else to say about it. I like Borderlands, I like Stranger Things, and they put some Demogorgon Skags up in Borderlands 3, and it's cool as hell. It's really all I got to say on the matter. Next up at number 4, we have Pain and Terror, which is probably one of the most random-ass Easter eggs on this whole list. If you haven't already caught on to what this is referencing, it's Penn and Teller. You know, the magicians, the tall dude, and the little dude that doesn't speak. You run into them during the Agonizer 9000 boss fight on Pandora. Luckily, this is a main mission boss fight, so you can't miss it. When first seeing these 2 in-game, I thought it was just a coincidence that they looked similar to Penn and Teller, but nope. Penn Jillette actually voices his Borderlands counterpart. Teller also does an amazing job with his voice work as well, which is a joke, because, you know, he doesn't talk. And anyway, like I said before, this is a super random Easter egg, but one that was just super fun to just kind of stumble upon. And at number 3, we have a pretty cool Destiny Easter egg, another awesome looter shooter, I might add. This side mission unlocks in Chapter 9, and it's called Kill Dinklebot, which, if you don't play Destiny, it's an obvious nod to the original voice of your ghost, Peter Dinklage, who was later replaced by Nolan North. This mission takes you to Skywall 27, where you're tasked with finding and killing the Dinklebot, which isn't hard at all. And after defeating the Dinklebot, it'll drop an item called the Ludogram, you know, like a Destiny engram. After picking this up, you can head back to the Sanctuary, where you'll hand it in to Crazy Earl, and he'll give you a very crappy weapon. This is definitely poking fun at Rahul because, you know, when handing in engrams to him, you're rewarded with some not-so-great weapons in return. As a hardcore Destiny fan, I think this Easter egg is really cool, it's a lot of fun, it's really well done. Also, RIP Dinklebot. Moving on to number 2, it's time to talk about a hot anime Easter egg. If you go to Promethea and then head right on over to Electro City, you know, that really cool open area where you have to kill a bunch of dudes in order to shoot Kilovolt and his junk, that place. Anyway, you go to Electro City, and you'll need to make your way to the underground area, which we won't give you a full play-by-play here because it'll take too long, but there are plenty of guides out there. But you'll need to go through a sort of TV puzzle where you need to punch in a code by hitting things in order, but after that, you'll trigger the boss battle, which is against an enemy named One Punch, which is a big old bandit with a big stupid robot arm that can one-hit kill you. You know, like the One Punch Man, but only with a dumb robot arm. Skate around him and kill him, and you can get the legendary shotgun, the One Pump Chump. Now, it's worth noting that this is not a guaranteed drop, so you may need to fight the One Punch Bandit multiple times before you get that legendary drop, but it's totally worth it. Finally, at number 1, we have a very cool Doom Easter egg. We are all big Doom fans here at the office, and we're all really excited to come across this one. So there's a gun in Borderlands 3 called the Speed Loading Hellwalker, which is a double-barrel shotgun that looks very similar to the Doom Slayer's Super Shotgun. What I find really cool about this weapon, though, is that when you fire a shot, it always is followed by the sound of a guitar, and the guitar tone is just like Mick Gordon's guitar tone from the Doom 2016 soundtrack, which he scored, which is also a dope soundtrack, so I would just, you know, after this video, go listen to it. You can drop this weapon on Athena's from the Captain Trant boss fight. As with other weapons on this list, this unfortunately is not guaranteed, so you will have to farm this boss fight in order to drop it. Also, how sick is Doom? Those are 10 Easter egg secrets and references in Borderlands 3, but we want to hear from you, so meet us down in the comments below and let us know what you think. Have any of you come across any of these Easter eggs? And if there are some that we missed, please point them out to us, let us know. And as I'm sure you already know, hitting that like button really helps us out. And if you're new here, subscribing is a good idea, because we put up videos like this every single day. As always, thank you for taking the time to stop by and hang out with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time, right here on gameranx.